Hey everyone, this is Ryan with Collector's Maze, and today I'm joined with a special guest. Could you please state for me your name and what it is that you do?
Yeah, everybody just calls me Swaggy Cosplayer. Well, everybody just calls me Swaggy, but that's just normally what I go by. I keep my real name out of this whole cosplay side because there's some crazy people out there.
Oh yeah, awesome. And so when and how did you first get into cosplay?
When and how I got it. So we got to go back to about 2016. Like I've always been like a big comic book fan, a big nerd growing up. Watched a bunch of Saturday morning cartoons, Toon Disney, Elevate, Nickelodeon, growing all the way up in the '90s. All the '90s stuff I grew up with, and like I've always been nerdy. So like as this is like after the year after graduating college, couple of friends of mine asked me like, "Hey, do you want to go to the Cleveland Comic Con?" I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, Comic Con." I'm like, I didn't know that existed. Yeah, sure, let's go. So I went there that year in March, and I saw all these people dressed up. I'm like, wait, hold up. Just dress up as your characters to just go out there and do this. They're like, yeah, it's called cosplay. I'm like, I could definitely get into this. So the end of that year in December is the like December 17th was when I made my very first cosplay, and then that's it.
Awesome. Rolling with that, what was your first cosplay? Like, what was the first one you made?
Technically, the first cosplay I made was a guy named Ty from Digimon.
Awesome.
That was my
Uh,
very first cosplay. I just bought the shirt and I already had the shorts, so like yeah, I'm going to side.
oh yeah. No, I was a big Digimon fan growing up, so I know all about Ty. So what surprises or obstacles did you face when you were creating like your first cosplay?
Um, Surprising obstacles I faced. I would say you're just ignorance because like and my friends didn't do it. They're all nerdy as well, but they knew about cosplay, but they didn't do it. They
Hmm.
just go to the comic cons that come up here. They don't travel for anything. They just go to the ones that like meet the people that come up here. So my biggest obstacle was just ignorance, not knowing what I was getting into. And then
Mm.
yeah, I didn't do any research and then whatsoever. I just dived right in.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that would be pretty tough. I know that not too long ago I had my first Comic Con, and yeah, it's an experience to go there, and like I thought I was pretty cool because I had like planned out like an outfit, but it was just like suspenders and like a bow tie because I was going as like the doctor, and my wife was doing another character from that, and yeah, her costume she put a little bit more thought and effort into, and people could really tell. But like some of the other people, they just have such astounding costumes, and it was just like it's amazing, the culture that's there. um but so around that time when you were first making your cosplay, like who was your biggest inspiration when you were first getting into it? Or I mean, like you were saying you didn't really have any like you didn't do any research or anything into it, but was there any people that you looked up to when you first started?
One of the people I looked up to when I first started, definitely his name is Michael Wilson. Everybody knows him as Night Mage. I saw him at the Cleveland Comic Con, and I saw how amazing his costume was. Everything he makes everything, sews, build everything. And I saw how amazing he was. So he was definitely inspiration, and he does every single character from when he grew up to now. So he does everything. So I was like, yeah, if I want to get on a level, that's the level I would love to be on. Like he can do everything. So that was my very first major inspiration in terms of cosplay.
That
And that's the only one I can think of at the moment.
Yeah, no, that sounds terrific. I mean, and it kind of brings me right into my second question or my next question after that, which is like I've seen a lot of your work online, and you are just kind of a jack of all trade when it comes to cosplays. Like normally you'll see a cosplayer and they like pertain mainly to comic books or they do mainly cartoons, but as I was scrolling through your like Instagram, I'm seeing like cartoons, I'm seeing comic books, I'm seeing a mixture of the two. You kind of just do whatever you like, and it's just What gives you that inspiration, or like what makes you decide like this would be a good cosplay?
So what makes me decide what would be a good cosplay? So like I go back and like I think about the characters that I do. Is like I said, I do the characters that. Well, I didn't say that yet. Sorry. I
You're good.
that I grew up with. Like so like most of my characters you've seen all my every single character I have on my page, most of them is all nostalgic. Like that's the one I grew up with. That was a good point. And I love those specific characters and their personalities, how they act, how they were silly, witty, how they were serious at some point. So they all generally all my characters always have almost like pretty close to the exact same personality. So when I go and I look at that, that's really what I pick. Like I don't go specific based on genres of like comic book, anime. Like I just go with people I like and I seem to identify with in some way. Like it doesn't matter to me. Like so because I watch everything. I watched everything. I've read comic books. I've watched a lot of anime. I've watched a lot of cartoons. I've just been an overall nerd, so I just do the characters from each side. I mean, I just don't. The only thing I don't do is I don't let like other people dictate what I do. Like it's not.
Mhm.
I'm the one wearing it, so
Yeah.
that's how I decide like what will work for me.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And kind of segueing right into that, so like when you're picking out like your next cosplay, how do you decide that, or like what do you draw from? Have you ever like had it to where people like do you do like a vote online and they do any of that kind of picking for you, or is it mainly only just you?
I do a vote online. There's been a very few cosplays that I've done a vote online for. Like I did Gambit cosplay recently because during the quarantine I just needed something to do. That was voted on by people on Instagram. Like that's the whole reason why I did a Gambit cosplay, which is that one. There's been like it's a very select few cosplays that I have that have had people choose what I should do. But the rest of them is just me and how I identify with. So
Awesome.
like I really just made a Blue Lantern cosplay, and the reason I like the Blue Lanterns over the Green Lanterns because of what they represent, and they represent hope. And everybody does the Green Lantern. Like you think of everybody does DC. You do Green Lanterns. Most people don't realize that there's other different color spectrums. And like they mean different things. So
Mm.
do the one that I most like. So
Yeah, no, I actually a good friend of mine is a huge Lantern fan. That's his favorite one, and so he's been reading like the all the Green Lantern comics, and that's really how I figured out like, oh, there's other Lantern cores. Like there's so many different options. And yeah, that is a really great way of kind of putting it, is just kind of you go with what you want, or like what you want to represent. And yeah, that's a really great way of picking out kind of how you want to represent or how you want to do your cosplays. Um, Out of all the cosplays that you've designed or done, which one is your favorite?
ooh, which one is my favorite cosplay? Um, okay, so I think it's a tie for these three because they were three of my favorite. No, four different cosplays. There's a tie because they were some of my favorite characters growing up. So the first one is Static Shock. So Static Shock is my favorite superhero. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that because like growing up, there's not that many black, characters out you can just go out and watch on TV and cartoons. And like growing up, at first Superman was my very first favorite superhero. Then in 2001, I didn't know about Static Shock. I saw the TV show. I'm like, oh shoot, there's a guy who's like me, and like, yeah, all right. Now I watched that whole series and then started reading his comic books after that. So Static Shock, Darkwing Duck, because I always loved like Darkwing was just silly to me. He's just a fun guy to be around. Everybody's scared of him, but he's just a goofball and he's respected. But he's just silly. I love Darkwing Duck. My Mega Man Zero. That that one technically isn't necessarily, in my opinion, it isn't my best cosplay, but it's definitely one of my favorite because I love the character Zero from the game. I love that whole Game Boy Advance series. I love the fact that Capcom gave him his own spinoff and gave him his own series. And like in my opinion, it was better than the original series. So I love that one. And Black War Greymon because he's my favorite Digimon. I just loved everything about him in general because how his whole stance, because he, traversed through the digital world to find his own purpose, and then he eventually found it. But unfortunately, he had to give his life to find it. But yeah, that's those four, and that's the reason why.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I was gonna say right off the back, like coming through your Instagram, you see like there's a lot of Static Shock pictures, or you doing the cosplays of Static Shock, and they're phenomenal. Like you do a really good job with it. And then another one was like Darkwing Duck. I could definitely tell that that's one of your big ones, because you got a lot of pictures on there, and you do a really good one. Like it's just like that fun, silly. Like you bring that character to life. It's really great. But yeah, I think out of all of yours, my favorite is your Black War Greymon, because like when I think of cosplayers, I always think of like, oh, you're gonna pick like a superhero, you're gonna pick an anime character, but no one really like thinks of like the monsters, and like that character. I mean, he's a very humanesque monster, but you still like portray it really well, and you do it like you have like a really good set of like gear to really bring the character to life. And yeah, I was very impressed when I saw that. I was just like blown away.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. Um, so kind of piggybacking off that last one, which of your cosplays do you feel has been the most successful, or like you get the most praise for?
Uh, let's see. The cosplay that I probably think gets the most praise. Well, is probably between like it's probably between Black Will Greymon and Darkwing, because Darkwing, I've had Darkwing for about, let's say, 2-3 years now, and regardless of wherever I wear it to, everybody just recognizes it. Everybody just loves it. Like, yeah, well, that's Darkwing Duck. Like, it's just a cast guy. Everybody sees it and knows it and know about it and know how I'm doing it. So, but that's why I say it gets the most praise, because it's the most recognizable when I wear it, and everybody automatically knows it. I'm like a picture, kids, even like little kids know who Darkwing Duck is now. I'm like, okay. But and then Black War Greymon was probably my biggest build that I've ever done so far. I mean, I'm working on something else now, but like Black War Greymon was my biggest build to that point, and that one actually got probably the most. I would say the most actual like liked on Instagram when I was going through the process of doing it and completion process. So that one's kind of what put it on the map that Swaggy can build stuff. So
Yeah.
that's that's that.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely a surprise to see like all the different armor and stuff, because I know that that's not easy to build, and especially
Yeah,
making it functional.
yeah, it's the Black War Greymon was kind of pain because I'm making a regular War Greymon now, but I've learned from Black War Greymon and learned how I can see out of it better. Like that whole helmet is like maybe I can only see going straight forward. I can't see nothing around me whatsoever. So my friends had to guide me as I was walking down with it. But I made the helmet detachable. I'll come right off and on, so I could just put it on and off. And it'd be easy for me to just walk without it and then put it on pictures and go on from there.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I was gonna say, yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that helmet probably negates a lot of your field of vision. Um, so for like anybody that's kind of just like checking out your Instagram, or just in general just trying to get into cosplay, what kind of advice would you give them?
What kind of advice would I give them? Well, first of all, just stay true to yourself. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Like it's cosplay, it's a lot of drama in it, unfortunately. Like the whole community section. There are people that support you, and there's always going to be people that don't like what you do or don't like where you are. But whatever it is, if you have to actually make sure you like to. This is something you want to do. Like I wouldn't say waste your time doing something if you're trying to get a reward out of it, because if there's certain people that will get more rewarded than you, and you might personally think their stuff isn't better than yours. Not saying that that's the way I feel about it, but I'm just saying like I know situations that's happened. So I'm like, people can personally think they're better and they're not getting the reward they deserve, and they get frustrated by that. my advice is like, so just stay true to yourself. Make sure it's something that you actually want to do, and you're not looking for a reward for it, because unless like you get really good at building and people want to see your stuff 24/7, you're not gonna be making too much money off this or making too much recognition of it. So make sure it's something you love, you want to do. Make sure you do want to do it, and don't worry about anything. Just stay true to yourself. That way, you're not going to get frustrated with anything that comes that way or any negativity that comes towards you. Other thing is, do some research before you get in and see like your characters and see how people do stuff. Like watch some YouTube tutorials, or because if you want it to look good, you gotta have to learn how to make it look good. And then let's see. The third thing I would say is, yeah, just don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Like it's your costume. At the end of the day, you're the one putting it on. Like you worry about how you look in it. If you feel as though you don't look good, then you got to find out a way to change it out. You got to be comfortable in your own body and your own costume, because you made that, or either you made that or you bought it. You just make sure you're good with it, and that's what I would tell any upcoming cosplayer that wants to come up and do it, or anybody that wants to get into it.
Yeah, no, that's really good words of advice, because like I know I'm personally, before this last before COVID hit, I was actually going to go to the Comic-Con that was planned for here in Kansas City, and I was going to go as Cal Kestis from Star Wars Fallen Order.
Okay.
Just because like if you can't tell, I'm a ginger, and you don't get a lot of ginger characters, so like I go for the ones that have got those random little things like, oh, I can do that because I have that hairstyle, like I don't have to dye my hair or something. So I always like those kinds of characters. But yeah, he was a Star Wars character, and I got the costume and everything, and it just didn't fit right. But my like wife was saying that she could hem it up and just like make it feel a little bit better. And as soon as she did, it was just like you said, I was like, I felt better in it. Was just like, yeah, this is me. Like I can be this character. So
Right.
yeah, it is just a whole lot of feeling comfortable in your skin, and just feeling comfortable in like what you're wearing and what you're doing, and having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. That's
Um, yeah. So really the last thing I wanted to say was like, was there anything else that you wanted to address or wanted to say to the people out there that are watching your stuff?
anything I would like to say. I mean, I'm just out like if I'm just out here to have fun. Like personally, like I realized a bunch of stuff about different cosplayers and stuff. And realized about me. Like I bring my personality. Like this is how I am in cosplay, is how I am in real life. And I didn't realize how strong my personality actually is until I started getting into cosplay and meet people who, like, who have, you don't know everybody. So like I always just come off as I am, and my personality is always a little bit too strong for certain people. And I just want to be like, look, it's it's just how I am, and I have to explain that to a lot of people at first, because if people meet me and they're taken back by it, like, you started this interview, you didn't expect what I was gonna say. You just like, oh, I was surprised a little bit, but like people meet me and they like, wow, you really are like that. Then if they take a step back, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I'm just good with everybody. I'm just cool with everybody. I have no issues or anything because everybody's different. So the only thing I can really say is like, I mean, I'm just I'm just a person doing my own thing. That's what I'm telling everybody. That's what I tell everybody anyway. And whoever's reading, watching this, I'm like, I just do my own thing, and I think you should do your own thing as well.
No, I mean, that's fantastic. I really think that those are really good words of advice. And I really appreciate you coming on. This was Ryan with Collector's Maze. And thank you so much, Swaggy Cosplayer, for joining us.
Okay, thank
And yeah, it's like, if you guys want to check out these awesome cosplays, go check them out on Instagram. It's at Swaggy Cosplayer. And yeah, he's fantastic. Check him out. But yeah, no, it was great having you. And I hope to see you all next time.